Hello, my friends. Welcome. Today I was looking at my YouTube channel, the analytics and things like that, and I realized something very strange, and that is the majority of my followers are men. And that was quite a surprise to me, because I always think that it is mostly women. But no, and the percentages are actually quite high, 60 to 40, or even sometimes 70 to 30. I thought, oh my goodness, okay. So I decided to do something dedicated to my male followers today. And I'm going to talk about, have you heard of Thomas Campbell, the American writer in the 40s, perhaps a little bit before that? Actually, Irish American. He came from County Mayo, I believe. I don't know whether you know him. It's worth reading. He published many books. And he deals with males and maleness and manhood. And this is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to refer to one of his books, The Hero's Journey. And it is a myth. And a myth not in a negative way of something that is not true and realistic, but the myth in its positive connotation that tells us something about a dream, or tells us something about ourselves. I thought that this was absolutely gorgeous the way he puts it. He tells it's like a fairy tale, but it's not. It's a myth for males. And I think I'll start by, you remember that theater play from the 60s, The Man of La Mancha? Yeah, Don Quixote. Wonderful. There are some wonderful renditions. The first person who actually sang it, I think it was in 1963 or something like that. Wonderful lyrics. And but there is one, Brian Stokes Mitchell. I will put him singing that song at the bottom, okay, in the description box. But just to begin, before I move on to Thomas Campbell, myth, just want to remind you of the words, the lyrics of this song that Don Quixote is explaining why he does the mad things that he does. Do you remember the lyrics? To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right, for what's right, without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for that heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach that unreachable star. Wonderful lyrics. So the hero's journey, I'm going to summarize it for you. It's about that heroic path that a male has to take in his life. It's going to talk about heroism, the heroic route, the heroic path to know oneself, to teach oneself, self-knowledge, and eventually through self-knowledge, a freedom, a liberation. That he'll show you, to avoid the resentment and the frustration and the anger and the feeling of being a failure. When you feel, I know I'm capable of so much more, what am I doing here in this rut, in this, what is the meaning? Or if you have achieved everything that you wanted to achieve and you're wealthy and you have everything, and yet many wonder, why am I not filled? Why am I not happy? I should, shouldn't I? So Joseph Campbell is going to tell us about this myth in 12 steps. How that myth, the hero, the protagonist, changes to have meaning in his life. And it's 12 steps, and he explains, just like the clock strikes. We're talking about myths, yes, so we are going to go into lyrical language here. Like a clock strikes, has 12 striking hours. And there are 12 months in the year and 12 hours in the day twice. He's going to split these 12 steps into 2 pairs, yeah? When you are in this world, in this daily, living your daily life, and you find no meaning, and then the other 12 when you are trying to find it. And eventually you come back to the place where you were, to your cave, or to your hut, or to your home, or to your castle. But you will see the world completely different. Okay. This heroic journey, then, in 12 steps, 6 steps. First of all, the ordinary life, the everyday life, that is where you find yourself. And then an extraordinary world that you're going to find, a mythical world, mystical. You could apply it to you could apply it in any subject. You could apply it to social matters, political, religious. You know where to go. In whatever field you find yourself that you are called to do something else. So let me point out the 12 steps. You're living in the ordinary world, you're going to move on to that extraordinary mythical world, and you're going to come back to that ordinary world, a changed man. First of all, we are going to have to deal with a departure, an adventure, which is a beginning. And then you're going to find some revealing knowledge, so to speak. You're going to kill the dragon and, if you like, rescue the princess from the tower. And then you will have to return to the ordinary world you left. Okay, so let's start the journey. Step number 1. The hero is living in this world an ordinary life. But he is living he's living his life in a state of unconsciousness, unawareness, in a state of oblivion of himself, the hero. He has no true perception of himself. He doesn't really know who he is, or what he's here for, or why he's doing what he's doing, or indeed what he should do. He just lives. He's not necessarily suffering at this stage. He's simply in a state of spiritual unconsciousness and ignorance in regards to himself and what his role in the world is. This is step number 1. Step number 2, the call. Vocation. A sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, a mission that you have. Something happens to the hero, to that man, to that ordinary man, that awakens in him the need to embark on a journey. Something happened that makes him aware that his life has no meaning. He becomes aware, ponders that there is something, there has to be something more, there is something else calling him, something that he has to pursue, whatever it might be. It might be writing a book, it might be whatever. You know where to go. A place he has to go, and I don't mean, physically or geographically. A place you have to go. Something that you have to seek and find. You're aware of an unfinished business that you didn't know beforehand that it was there, finished or unfinished. So now you know that you have to embark on a mission. In other words, he receives this call, this vocation, horizon, mission, the knock of destiny, says Campbell. And that is step number 2. Step number 3, answering the call, opening the door to that knock, on the door of destiny. But that is going to be very difficult because it means leaving behind the daily life that you have been living up to now, leaving behind the person that you were until that moment, embarking on something different, embarking on a new journey. And the hero must leave the village or the cave or the castle, or leave in order to answer that call. But here's the problem, that frightens him. He is in fear of taking that major step. It's too different. He's afraid of following the call. He's afraid of leaving himself behind. And so he rejects the call. Not now, not yet, not ready, too many things that I have to take care of. The hero rejects the call, does not accept his vocation. He backs out. He's scared to follow the call. He doesn't have the courage to leave what is certain for that something that first resonated in his soul. And because he doesn't leave, because he does not respond to that call, and because he chooses to remain in that ordinary life, safer, that ordinary life now he's going to experience after the call, he's going to continue experiencing, but now with frustration, regret, perhaps, for not having followed the call. And he's now alienated within himself. He discovers that he hadn't, he discovers that he hadn't been aware of it until now, but now he is. Hence the frustration. And it is a moment, Campbell says, when you now feel that pain in the soul. And you wonder, what do I do now? I have received the call of destiny. I have heard the vocation call. I have heard the knock, and I dared not leave. And because I didn't leave, I live now a frustrated, meaningless life. Anguish. That was step 3. Step 4, this is going to be crucial. He leaves. And along the way, he decides to embark on it. He can't stand the pain now. The pain that he was unaware of to begin with, but now he is. He leaves the village. And along the way, he meets this teacher or master or guide or the wise man in the forest. And desperate as he is because of this uneasiness in his soul, the hero seeks answers and ends up finding them. That person, the wise man, that person who lives in the depths of the forest in a cabin or in a cave, in a mountain, or in the desert, or a traveler, a pilgrim who passes through your village, and you enter in conversation with him, and he tells you what you have to do, the wise man. He can see your soul. And he explains to you that that you have to leave everything behind. Your village, your castle. Makes him see that he is risking he has to take risks, otherwise you will never, you are, but you're not. You have to choose between being or not being. Being or just existing. And you have to answer the call. And he leaves, he embarks on that journey, leaves his cave or his castle, the world in which he has lived up to now, and sets out on that journey. The wise man in the forest, that guide, that teacher, that is a crucial moment in the life of the hero. And this is what instilled in him the courage for him to say, I hear, I heard, I'm ready. That is step 4. Step 5. The hero leaves the ordinary world, enters unknown territory, enters the dark wood, the distant deep forest in the mountains or the desert, The hero leaves everything behind and enters what is now a special world, a mythical world, and the adventure begins. He will have to cross a river and then a waterfall and many other crossings along the way. On the other side of the street is that secret, magical kingdom. And he crosses the river and the waterfall and enters into this magical kingdom. He will have to cross the threshold to that magical world and pass through this threshold, but there is a guard there. The hero will have to go past him. So, he has received the call, he has feared that call, the wise man has helped him to take the next step, he takes the next step, crosses over to the other side, and the guard is there. And this is the first test. He has succeeded in all of this, and the guard tells him, warns him, we shall see each other again. Entering the secret kingdom is easy. It is much more cumbersome to exit it. That's the warning. But he crosses the threshold and leaves the guard behind, and now things change. Step 6. The adventure is about to begin. Many difficulties, many confronting of injustices, confronting enemies, struggles, apprenticeships that he'll have to go through, many tests that he will have to undergo. But suddenly his life starts moving. He is alive. There is fervor and joy in living this adventure. He discovers that he has gifts, qualities, the potential to be a warrior, that warrior. He was not aware of that before when he was afraid. But he is capable. He is that hero now living that adventure, facing those difficulties, those enemies, overcoming those tests. This is the 6th step. And in this step, as he sees himself being capable of all that, all those tests, there is a certain heroic joy there. But this joy that he begins to feel is not the real thing yet. Is the antechamber, as it were, to the 7th. This is the most important moment. This is the great ordeal now, the great test that he will have to confront. The hero will have to enter the cave and face the dragon, or enter that dark dungeon and confront the ancient serpent or the nameless beast. This is the toughest test. Everything is at stake now. All that he has learned up to now has been like a preparation for this moment, for entering the dragon's cave, to confront him and to fight him and to defeat him. This is the great ordeal. This is step number 7 of the hero's journey. And he faces the dragon, and a transformation occurs. He has gone down into that dark cave, the most fearsome, the most horrifying place that you could ever imagine, to confront him, the dragon. And now we are in step 8. And because the hero has confronted that dragon, there is a symbolic death and resurrection. A death and resurrection occurs. A transformation. Something new awakens the hero now. A new beginning in that inner life. He's no longer what he was before. He's no longer what he had been up to now. Having faced the dragon, having defeated the dragon, that means now a sort of elevation, a higher dimension of that individual of old. No longer one individual. It's now more than one individual. It's an individual with a much higher supra-individual dimension to his own person. He has been deconditioned of his attachments, of his fears. He's now well beyond that mere ego, open now to see beyond his own limitations, beyond his own shortcomings. To have entered that cave, to have defeated that dragon, and come out of it victorious implies a sort of symbolic death, a transition that has elevated him to supra-individual, beyond the ego, beyond being afraid, beyond attachments, distinguishing now consciousness from mere awareness, from mere psyche, from mere ego. Being, not just existing or in continuous change of becoming. Being. That's number 8. Number 9. Now this is another joyous moment. The reward. Having been victorious, he will now receive the talisman, the amulet, the ring, the elixir. You can now, because you have earned it, you can now wear the belt of power, the ring of knowledge, the talisman of light. That victory means that you have now acquired a gift. There has been a bestowal to you that transforms you, that transforms the hero. And also, not only that, but also a silver sword or a golden axe. A symbolic element that is bestowed on him for having passed that cruel test. And so now you have experienced that liberation, that elevation, that transformation. Step number 10, now you're going to return to that old world you left behind. But now you have the ring and the sword and the amulet, the princess even. And so you can return to the daily ordinary world, This is step 10. You have to first go back to that threshold and cross it again. And as the hero is approaching that threshold to go back to the ordinary world, the guard reappears. But the guard is now terrible. He wants to fight you. Not just a kind warning now. You cannot leave the extraordinary world just like that. And he blocks your way. He will block your way. But the hero carries the sword, wears the crown, carries the ring, and the elixir, and the princess. And suddenly, seeing the elixir, and the crown, and the ring, and the sword, and the princess, and the belt, that sacred object, the threshold guard collapses, shrinks, becomes smaller and smaller. It dissipates, fades, disappears. That which seems so terrible, so enormous, fades and dissolves. And so the hero returns to the ordinary world. Step 11. And so you're back in that ordinary world that you knew so well. And when you get there to the village or the castle, you find that everything is the same as it was. Nothing has changed. It looks the same. And there you are, back in the village. Everything the same. What do you do now? The final step. Step 12. You now remember that you have something special. You brought with you something from that secret realm. Your adventure allowed you to bring something from the other side to this side. That talisman, that belt, that princess. And so now, the ordinary world is no longer ordinary. The return, everything looks like the return of spring, the return of splendor. That ordinary grey world, the world in which nothing magnificent ever happened, suddenly that world, you see it, the hero sees it, and everything around him with a new luminosity, effervescence, a new beauty there that you never saw before. The same world, experienced very differently. The hero has returned to his starting point. He goes back to his ordinary life, the normal world. But it is not the world that has changed. He has changed. And so because he has changed, you see the world differently, with a new color. You have acquired a higher level of consciousness, of awareness, and your soul is now awakened, and you now see yourself and everything that surrounds you with these different eyes, and now you can see the beauty in the littlest of things, and the grandeur and the light in that grey world. That's the end. This is for you guys who follow me. I must tell you that I'm not a man. I am a woman, so this is kind of, it doesn't do much for me. We are different. So, but I can see, you see, that I chose it because I can see, even though I don't quite, I understand it, but I do understand it, but it doesn't touch my soul as much because I'm not a man. Okay, I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.